Thank you, Michael. Conference, we reach the closing day of a fantastic conference in a fantastic city, and we are ending the conference as we began it, debating equality, taking our stand against discrimination, prejudice, and against the unjust barriers, the institutional conservatism and the resistance that still holds too many people back. So let me briefly introduce the equalities debate we will have this morning by remembering the equalities debates we have held every day of the Labour Party conference. On Saturday, the annual Women's Conference. 700 women, over 100 women spoke. Women angry that they are being hit twice as hard as men by the government's tax and benefit changes, even though men still earn more and own more. Women no longer prepared to tolerate the double discrimination of sexism and ageism. And women worried about childcare cuts that make it harder to work at a time when women's unemployment has reached a record 1 million. And women standing together not just against the Tory-led government's attempts to turn back the clock, but also to demand greater progress, greater opportunities and social justice for women in the future. Because we know it is good for women, good for families, good for men, good for communities, and good for the economy too, to use every aspect of women's talents in a modern society. And I want to give special thanks to Fiona McTaggart, not only for the excellent work that she has done with Kate Green to put into making the Women's Conference a success this year, but also for the leadership that she is showing on equality every day. Thank you, Fiona. But we also know that women across our party, women across the country and women across the Labour Party in Parliament have been standing up and raising concerns about the deep damage the government is doing to women's lives. Even the government has finally admitted that they have a problem. The number 10 not-so-secret memo has now admitted that women are being disproportionately hit by the policies that they are introducing. But what was David Cameron's response to the women who have warned him about the damage that he was doing? To Harriet Harman, to Caroline Flint, to Angela Eagle? Not sorry, but calm down, dear. I think David Cameron will learn that women across the country are not going to calm down. In fact, they're getting angrier and angrier, louder and louder, and they will continue to do so until this Tory-led government drops their deeply unfair plans that turn the clock back on women's equality. But it wasn't just our debates on Saturday at the Women's Conference. On Sunday, Refounding Labour, building equalities more deeply into our party structure and our party campaigns. The Labour Party with the strongest BMAE representation in Parliament, more women MPs, but knowing that we still need to go much further when only 1% of councillors are BAME women. So targeted training, making it easier for people to get involved from all backgrounds, gender balance in our leadership team, ensuring that LGBT Labour and the Labour Disabled Members Group have representation on our National Policy Forum. On Monday, our debate on the economy was not just about growth and jobs and trade, but about childcare, something we know is part of our economic infrastructure, with Liam Byrne warning that 30,000 women have already had to give up work because of the cost of childcare. And Maria Eagle, campaigning against government plans to end reduced fares on coaches for older and disabled people, cutting a lifeline and causing misery and isolation. On Tuesday, Ed Miliband's speech talked about unjust inequalities and highlights the scandal that sees the Tories straining at the leash to cut the 50p tax rate for people earning over £3,000 a week, all while tax credits are cut and childcare is hit. And then on Wednesday, our debate on the NHS. When the Women's Conference on Saturday was asked to vote for the top 3 priorities that we should take forward to the Labour Party conference, to report back to the Labour Party conference, and also to make sure were priorities as part of our National Policy Forum and policy-making process, top of the list was the NHS. Because we know that whatever our background, Whoever we are, the NHS is the most important institutional embodiment of fairness and equality in British society, built on the founding principles of treatment according to healthcare need, not personal circumstances, and not ability to pay. And we know those values are under threat, and that is why defending the NHS is our most important equality policy now. So from fringe to fringe, debate to debate, equality woven throughout our debates, woven deep into our ideology as a party. It will always be the front and centre of what we do. You know better than anyone else the progress that we have made: civil partnerships, doubling maternity pay, strengthening laws against racism, the Equality Act, progress for which we can be proud, and we pay tribute to the person who has done more than any in our party recently to keep championing the cause of inequality, and is continuing to do so now, our Deputy Leader, Harriet Harman. But it is also progress on which we can never rest, both because we are at risk of seeing the clock turned back and because we know we still have far yet to go. The threats we face, important parts of the Equality Act blocked, disabled people the target for hundreds of millions of pounds of cuts, not through helping them into work, but by Treasury-driven targets against the vital support that they need to live their lives. Changes to abortion counselling based on prejudice, not evidence, and the much-trumpeted promise on gay marriage, something we welcome and support, we now find is kicked into the long grass. And conference, the EDL, marching on the streets. We know the progress that we achieved was hard-won, should never be taken for granted, and must be defended, but we still must go further. While women are paid less than men for the same level jobs, while BAME job applicants are less likely to get interviews simply because of the surname on their CV, while teenagers are traumatised by homophobic bullying. And in this great city of Liverpool, diverse and proud, 2 cathedrals, some of the oldest Afro-Caribbean and Chinese communities in the country, yet represented in the European Parliament by Nick Griffin. Conference, our task is not just to stand up against the damage that the government is doing, but also to go further, championing equality, challenging prejudice wherever we find it, not just today in our debates, not just every day of our conference, but every day of the year. Thank you.